They say the left hand, it drop mountains. They say the right hand, be slaying dragons.
All right, so I go on social media. I'm all over Twitter. I'm seeing it on my timeline. You know, Zuffa Boxing continues making waves. They have signed two very relevant names in the sport of boxing that boxing fans will know. And let's talk about it because there's a lot to unpack here. So it has been reported formally by Zuffa Boxing and the fighters themselves that they have signed Edgar Berlanga and Richardson Hitchins, the IBF 140-pound champion, to Zuffa Boxing. Now, a lot to unpack. We'll start with Edgar Berlanga, right? Because he's a polarizing figure in boxing. You know, people either love him or hate him. I personally love Edgar Berlanga. I think he's awesome. Even though, you know, I wish, you know, he probably would do better in his bigger fights. You know, I think he's overall, he's good for boxing because he's a guy that will fight. He'll fight names. He'll fight the top guys if the fights present themselves. And, you know, he's not no punk. Like, when he fought Hamza Shiraz and he got the brakes beaten off of him, he got up a couple of times and fought to the best of his ability. So I'll give him that much. You can't call him no punk, you know. Respect to Edgar Berlanga for getting in there. He's a guy that I think is going to be a good look for Zuffa Boxing because Edgar is a guy that in this social media era, in this day and age where attention is currency, he knows how to garner a lot of it. And he does garner a lot of it. When he posts anything on Instagram, it gets a lot of attention. So you got that going for them. I'm not really sure what they're going to do for him because, you know, I think for Berlanga and Hitchins, it'll be intriguing to see how Zuffa maneuvers them because when Zuffa Boxing was started by Dana White, it was started with the idea that they would only operate under the model of boxing's traditional 8 weight classes. So we're talking about, you know, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, and I guess you could say bantamweight or whatever. The original 8 weight classes. They weren't going to have no super or junior weight classes. Edgar Berlanga is a super welterweight. Richardson Hitchins is a super lightweight, you know, one guy. So they don't have those weight classes. So is Zuffa Boxing going to bend the model? Are they going to bend what the original ideas was to accommodate Edgar and Hitchins? You know, we'll see. And then I'm not even sure what would be a big fight for Berlanga at Zuffa Boxing. I mean, there's not anybody as far as big time marquee names that will fight. But I guess if he's going there, they're probably paying him a lot. So I'm sure whoever they put in front of him, if they're paying him enough, will fight them, right? So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It's not really the most surprising news because if anybody's been paying attention and if you're even somewhat in the know, if you're really in the boxing circles and you're even somewhat in the know, you would know that Keith Connolly, who is the manager of Edgar Berlanga, he's been on this mission to kind of funnel all the guys from his stable to Zuffa Boxing. I mean, Conor Ben is a Keith Connolly client. He was the first guy to go to Zuffa. Now you got Hitchins and Berlanga joining Zuffa. And there's even rumors that maybe even a guy like Teofimo Lopez could be going to Zuffa. And he's also a Keith Connolly client. So it's not the most unsurprising thing in the world. But now that it's happened, it makes it that much more real when you see the actual press release and Zuffa is posting about it themselves. So you have that. Now, getting to Richardson Hitchins, because he's been a guy that's come under a lot of scrutiny over the last 2 months. You know, he was scheduled to fight Oscar Duarte as the co-main event on the Ryan Garcia Barrios undercard. He pulled out of the fight, right, last minute. Made him look really, really bad. It was a PR nightmare for him. A lot of people question, you know, Richardson Hitchins. Is he really one of those guys that will really step up and fight, you know, the top guys in the sport of boxing? Because, you know, let's be real. He did duck Super Matias like the plague. He ducked him. He didn't want no smoke with Super Matias. Then the Duarte thing happens. Now you're going to Zuffa Boxing. Like, what is the big fight for Hitchins at Zuffa Boxing, right? And another thing to consider is he's the IBF champion. Will the IBF strip Hitchins the way they did to Jao Pataya? I'm going to lean towards probably saying yes, because the IBF don't play around. And I think if they did it for Opataya, right, they'd have to do it for Hitchins, because then it's a double standard. You can't strip Opataya for going to Zufa and, you know, fighting for another belt on another platform, and then the guy who has the same belt, same organization, give him preferential treatment. So I'm looking very closely at the IBF here. The IBF better be consistent here, because if the IBF isn't consistent, if they're doing deals and taking a little bit of payola, I will come after the IBF. I will criticize the IBF, because at the end of the day in boxing, all we want is some consistency. So look, good for these guys. If they want to go over there to Zuffa and make some money, that's great. But as far as legacy-defining type fights, I mean, I don't really know what's there for them. I mean, who is Hitchins gonna fight? You know, is he gonna fight Teofimo Lopez on Zuffa? Are they gonna is Keith Conley gonna funnel both his guys to Zuffa, and then T.O. and Hitchins can fight on Zuffa? Like I don't know. Is Hitchins going to fight Daniel Yulusinoff or one of these guys at 147 that they got over there? I mean, I don't know. It's a really weird time in boxing right now, where it's kind of hard to predict these things. But you know, they are there at Zuffa Boxing. I do think these are the kind of signings that could lead to even bigger signings, because, like I said, while Berlanga and Hitchins aren't the biggest names in the sport, there's still some names. Berlanga is a name. He fought Canelo, as he'll tell you 20 times over. He fought a legend, and he won 12 rounds with a legend, right? And people know him, whether they love him or they hate him, they know him. And the Hitchins is an actual legitimate world champion. So that what this does for Zuffa, I think it does give them a bit more credibility amongst the fighters in the marketplace. And I do suspect that they're gonna be bigger names in the future, better fighters in the future that will sign with them. So make of it what you will. What do you guys think the big fights are for Berlanga and Hitchins? I can't even think of them right now, because again, I mean, I could suggest names like Zuffa doesn't have 168, so if I'm thinking of the Zuffa guys at 175, maybe that guy that knocked out Ahmed El Bialy and made his legs shake on the ground, Umar Dinjekov, that guy's the truth. Like, are they gonna make Berlanga fight a guy like him? I don't think so. I think they brought Berlanga to Paramount Plus, to the Zuffa platform, to let him shine, and they're gonna put him in there with guys he can beat, look good against, and talk his shit and try to really push this thing to the next level. So we'll see how it goes. But those are my overall thoughts on the signings. What do you guys make of the signings? And what do you think this means for boxing long-term, big picture, overall, and those kind of things? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Want to say hello? Say hello. Can you say hi, boxing world?
Hi, boxing world.
Can you say true school sports?
Truth? Oh.
Can you say true school sports? Say true school sports. Can you say the untouchable? Can you say the home of boxing? The home of boxing.